All right, a very strong argument can be made that we are at war with Iran, with war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu and his homicidal, murderous IDF, because the president of the United States is cankles deep in the Jeffrey Epstein sex pedophile rape ring. It's just staggering stuff. If there was a movie about all of this, we'd be like, oh, that sounds far-fetched. We're living in it. And so, there's a lot of players in the MAGA movement that jump from here to here all the time. One of these people is Nancy Mace, who, when she's not fixated and obsessed with trans people, sometimes she slips out some things that shock me. And everybody knows Pam Bondi got her ass fired. And Robert Garcia wants to haul her ass back into Congress to question her. Nancy Mace has something to say about that. We expect Pam Bondi's deposition to be rescheduled in a timely fashion. Our motion made clear the committee must issue a subpoena to Pam Bondi, not the occupant of the Office of Attorney General of the United States. Coordinate with her personal attorney, issue an updated subpoena if necessary. But if Pam Bondi continues to refuse to comply, she should be held in contempt. And to get a hot take on this, we have America's greatest legal mind, co-host to IHIP News, Pumps. Pumps, what do you have to say about all this?
I think it's a sad day when Nancy Mace makes sense. This is the same person that tells her constituents to fuck off, goes crazy in airports. But the reality of this is Pam Bondi is trying to avoid testifying. And she can say, well, I'm no longer in that capacity. But she is not covered by any of the privileges of working for DOJ because she was committing crimes in office. So she absolutely needs to testify. And whatever way they can do it, they need to do it because this woman is the key to where all the bodies are buried.
I agree. I think that the Democrats need to be absolutely viciously tenacious in getting the truth to this. And they have bipartisanship support. You've got Massey, you've got Mace, you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene. And they need to keep building on that. And they need to let MAGA know you are the party of pedophilia and protecting pedophilia. Put them on record every chance you can get. Blast it from the rooftops, because I think a lot of this war, because our government's run by sociopaths, is to wag the dog away from these Epstein files. And here's what an Epstein survivor, she says she's really worried about Todd Blanch, the acting AG, stepping in. She says he is not a suitable attorney general. Play the clip.
I think that she had mishandled everything so poorly at this point, and we know that. And I think that at first there was a bit of, she deserved to be fired, but we're really worried about Todd Blanch stepping in. He is not a suitable attorney general. He gave Ghislaine Maxwell the next sweetheart deal. He has not heard survivors. It's never really been about Pam Bondi specifically. Like, yes, her treatment of survivors was really awful, especially that day that she couldn't even turn around. And that felt personal, but this is not personal, and it's never been political. And it feels like, once again, we're being used as political pawns, which really doesn't feel great.
Okay, so a couple of points here. Number one, she's right. Todd Blanch is the one that went and met with Ghislaine Maxwell and had her moved to a cream puff prison where now she has access to a puppy, which really pisses me off because nobody's protecting that dog. And secondly, I just want to point out, I love the Midas Touch. I love people leaving corporate news and joining the Midas Touch. Excellent journalism there. Pumps.
Here's the thing about Todd Blanch. He was Trump's personal attorney. He went into court and lied and made an ass of himself. That's why he's in this
ad that he took 34 L's.
Oh, yeah. Lost. And he lost 34 times, clean sweep that he lost. This is a man that got on the podium. And when asked about prosecution in the Epstein file for crimes against young girls, he's like, I don't know. And the only thing he's managed to coherently say is he loves President Trump. He loves him. And that he is not going to do anything on the Epstein files. So any expectation of that is crazy on our part.
All right. So, listener, we have to keep this Epstein stuff in the news cycle because Pam Bondi was fired to push it out of the news cycle. The Iran war was started to push it out of the news cycle and to curry favor and or placate to Benjamin Netanyahu and his murderous regime. But now these things are kind of commingled. And so Jessica Tarlov, our queen over on Fox News, who truly deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, if we were to really put it out there, she's always on the five, spitting facts to MAGA America. And this is regarding the ceasefire. And it was complete fiction. The whole thing was bullshit. Play the clip.
Jessica, are you happy that there's a ceasefire? Are you mad that there's a ceasefire? Where do you stand?
I stand, I think, in reality that there is no ceasefire. I was watching coverage of this last night, flipping around, obviously watching your show, Jesse, and then perusing some other channels. And there were split screens between, White House announces ceasefire and missiles raining down on the Israelis. We knew that Israel was sending rockets back to Iran. We know what today has looked like in Lebanon with what the Israelis are doing there. It's one of the highest death toll days. So the ceasefire was a complete fiction.
It was total bullshit. I mean, it's just, we're living in this world of complete propaganda. The entire administration is a crime syndicate run by dirty cops. You have Trump's loser attorney, Todd Blanch, now moving in to do the final cover-up of the Epstein files. And then Pumps, your favorite person to hate in the administration right now, is, of course, super Christian Pete Hegseth. And he's now trying to force out the Army secretary who was once floated to replace him. It is just an absolute, over at Pete Hegseth's Department of Defense, he cares not about the troops. He cares about this weird form of Christian nationalism, and he fires people because they're Black, because they're women, because they're gay, because Pete Hegseth is an insecure, toxic, he has an insecure, toxic, it's hard for me to even call him masculine, because when I think about the men that I love in my life, whether they're gay, straight, or whatever, that I think truly represent what our idea of masculinity is, they're protectors. They protect the marginalized. So, I mean, I guess we just call him a pussy or a titty baby, but nonetheless, here's the post. Pop this up. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll has released a statement amid ongoing clashes with Pete Hegseth, who is openly pressuring Driscoll to resign. And he says, I have no plans to depart or resign as Secretary of the Army. Here's some important detail about this, Pumps. Driscoll is one of the people that Hegseth tried to pressure to block the promotion of 2 Black and 2 female service members. It's just unbelievable racism that just infuriates me. And then Army Chief of Staff General Randy George was fired by Hegseth for similar reasons. So we just have this unhinged, psychotic racist running the Department of Defense.
Who's unqualified on his very best day. But I was reading articles within the Department of Defense. They call it the Department of War Crimes, and they call him Robert McNamara, referring to the DOD secretary who was in charge of Vietnam. He is bloodthirsty. He is not smart, and he thinks he's playing Battleship. Oh, I get to be a big boy and I get to bomb other people and I get to kill them because I'm so cool, when in reality, he's the most unfit, unhinged, unethical. And I believe the reason he's asking people to resign in the middle of the war is because they refuse to commit war crimes, which he has zero problem with. That's my opinion.
No, I completely agree. I think that it's a series of, he's asking them to commit war crimes, and he's also doing all of this behind the scenes reorganization and only promoting white men that are loyal to Trump. And I don't know, this is just my own anecdotal evidence, just based on the administration. It seems to me that white men loyal to Trump seem to be the most immoral Americans among us. So that would make sense that he would want to promote the white male loyalists. Okay, and then I have some rather alarming news. RFK Jr. has made a huge announcement.
Decades now, Americans have been told that we should trust the system, but our children are sicker, chronic diseases exploding, and the answers that we've been given aren't working. Many of us have come to the conclusion that government actually lies to us.
Pause it right there for just 1 second. You are the government. You've been the government for 18 months. Quit. Okay, go on.
Junior, you're HHS secretary. This podcast is about telling the truth, especially when it's uncomfortable. I'm going to have fearless conversations with critical thinkers, including independent doctors, respected scientists, and leaders in medical innovation and research. I'm going to ask the questions and lift the taboos and expose the hypocrisy and the conflict.
Okay, I think we've heard enough. And Gianmarco, this comedian I follow, he's hilarious. He had the most hilarious response to this. He says, bold choice to go with audio-based medium. I mean,
That's exactly what I thought.
It is fingernails on a chalkboard. And this guy, I mean, it's just, I can't take, he is the guy you graduated from high school with that is conducting their own investigation on Facebook. I have a guy that I graduated from high school with, and every time I get on Facebook, which is twice annually, he's conducting his own investigation into carbon dating, trying to prove that dinosaurs and men lived on the planet at the same time, thinks he's smarter than all these scientists. This is RFK Jr. This is a man who says he was a better student once he started taking heroin. He staged a bear homicide. We've got whale heads on his car. And I just think it is a total indictment on the entire Maha movement that this is who you listen to.
I agree, because his number one qualification is that he's a conspiracy theorist. This man is not a scientist. He is a fucking lawyer. So next time you go to the hospital, say, no, I want a lawyer to do my open heart surgery, because that makes fucking sense. These people are eaten up with the dumb shits.
A lot of us have friends or family members that have high blood pressure. Like, I have older parents. My dad has high blood pressure. And this is something you don't ever think about, but it is always working, whether you're thinking about it or not. There's a quiet health problem that damages your body every single day, and most people just have no idea that it's happening. And high blood pressure is the number one risk factor for mortality. Half of adults, 1 in 2, have it. Here's the question. Do you know your blood pressure? Most people don't, and that is the problem. Stop guessing about your health and try 120 Life's 14-day experiment on yourself or someone you care about. Measure your numbers before and then measure them after. That's when you, your friend, or your family member will realize that this stuff is actually working. Many people see improvement in as little as 2 weeks. Over 1,000 health professionals have supported or endorsed its use. It's increasingly becoming a go-to natural tool in clinical settings, not just wellness circles. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com and use my code NEWS for 20% off. Try it risk-free for 2 weeks. If your blood pressure doesn't come down, you get a full refund. Go to 120life.com and use the code NEWS to save 20%. Don't wait until next month. Nothing to lose except higher blood pressure numbers. Go to 120life.com and use my code NEWS for 20% off. Use code NEWS today. These statements have not been approved by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Okay, and speaking of eating up with the dumb shits, obviously we have our little smoky eye sociopath, J.D. Vance, America's top prostitute and couch fucker extraordinaire. And he has this very weird analogy on his wife. Play the clip.
Second thing Gollyboff said, which again I found fascinating, is he said, we refuse to give up the right to enrichment. And I thought to myself, you know what? My wife has the right to skydive, but she doesn't jump out of an airplane because she and I have an agreement that she's not going to do that because I don't want my wife jumping out of an airplane. we don't really concern ourselves with what they claim they have the right to do. We concern ourselves with what they actually do. And I think the president.
Let's just dive into this on a Freudian level. All right.
Fuck.
Like, out of all the examples that you could give, you talk about your pregnant wife jumping out of an airplane. Like, what would Sigmund Freud say about this? This is the same wife who is brown skinned. And when you find out about all these little white pricks in Florida that are the young MAGA that are in these Nazi chats talking about saying anti-Indian shit, your wife's Indian, your kids are mixed race. You do not condemn these little Nazis that are the growing like Groyper movement in the MAGA cult. And then you get off the plane from Hungary, where you're campaigning for like this teeny tiny country for them to have a dictator because you want to kiss Putin's ass, because I'm sure your owner, Peter Thiel, told you to do it. And out of all the analogies on the planet, you're throwing your wife out of an airplane. That's just weird shit to me. I mean, these people are so weird. It's unbelievable to me that that's what he would say if I were Usha. But I don't know. I think these MAGA women are just in on all of this. She started her own podcast as well, and I'm sure it's just a notch less insufferable than Katie Miller's.
God, that's a very, very low bar. I'll just say this. If this is JD Vance's stab at being funny and relatable and showing how charismatic he is, he failed. He looks like a moron.
And a dick. I mean, just a
dick.
Unrelatable dick. I mean, he sold his soul out and he's prostituted himself out in such a way. I honestly think he would be in better shape morally if he just earned his money on his back in a traditional hooker style manner. But his form of prostitution has broken him so much that we all have to suffer through his analogies of Usha offing herself by throwing herself out of an airplane, which could be understandable to an extent if you're married to that prick. All right, that's all we have. Like and subscribe, and we'll be back later with more news.